What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. And today we got the official trailer for the Hawkeye series coming to Disney Plus, starring, of course, Jeremy Renner and newcomer to the MCU, Hailee Steinfeld playing Kate Bishop. And we have a lot to break down in this trailer, including the plot. Who exactly is Hailee Steinfeld's Kate Bishop? We definitely saw Echo in this trailer, who is going to be getting her own spin-off Disney Plus show. And how about that Captain America musical that seems to be taking place inside of the MCU? We'll break it all down in this video, but if you're new, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So, Hawkeye is going to be a holiday Disney Plus show, and I'm really digging it. So we start off with Hawkeye and his children. Notice how his wife Laura is not there. Now, considering the fact that at some point in this trailer he does say babe while he's talking on the phone, I assume that she is not dead, but perhaps him and his kids are on vacation. He does say he's trying to make up for lost time, and that lost time is that 5 years in which his entire family was dusted, except for himself. Also, if you take a look at who his daughter is, this is Ava Russo, daughter of Joe Russo of the Russo brothers, who directed Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and Captain America Civil War. And speaking of Captain America, it looks like Hawkeye this holiday season took his family to go see Rogers the Musical, which of course is about Steve Rogers as Captain America. Even after he made it to the moon, after he died, he's still doing pretty well in the MCU. And his musical seems to be a pretty big hit, as we can see that it's got some pretty great reviews on these posters on the side out front of the theater. One banner for it says a timeless story of a timeless hero, another quote says a super powered sensation, and the rest of the reviews seem to be pretty dang good. And it looks like his family enjoyed it. However, a twist comes. Somebody is on the street dressing up as Ronin. Ronin was Hawkeye's persona between the events of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame during that 5-year gap when his family was dusted. As the news says, they're wondering if the masked vigilante who terrorized the underworld is back. Hawkeye obviously realizes that it's not himself, but somebody dressing up as him, so of course he has to attend to this. So, in order to protect his family, he sends them home, tells them not to worry, and tells them that he'll be home for Christmas. Now, Hawkeye says that he made a lot of enemies when he wore that suit, and we can see whoever is in the suit running away from some men in some tracksuits, and this is the Tracksuit Mafia, referred to as the Tracksuit Draculas in the comics, but I believe in this show they are just going by the Tracksuit Mafia. And they have a direct connection with Hawkeye in Marvel Comics. And it looks like in the Hawkeye series, they're going to be after Hawkeye, or Ronin, his alter ego, for all of the things that he did during that 5-year gap. But of course, it's not Hawkeye, it's actually Kate Bishop. And he quickly meets her after saving her from the Tracksuit Mafia, and this is where we are introduced to Hailee Steinfeld's character. Now, when he unmasks her, she says, "You're Hawkeye," and she is very shocked. She obviously knows who he is because she is dressed up as Ronin. And we discover that she is also an archer. This leads me to believe that her story is pretty much going to be the same as it is in the comics. If not, it's going to be pretty close. In the comics, at a young age, Kate Bishop witnesses her father, Derek, beating up somebody in the study of their home. From here, she decided to investigate her father's activities. This would bring her face to face with the villain El Matador, who would quickly capture her. Now, she managed to escape, but as she was escaping, his men were coming after her, but she is saved by an arrow and the Avengers. The arrow obviously came from Hawkeye, and from that point in time, Kate Bishop was kind of obsessed with Hawkeye and really looked up to him because he was an Avenger that didn't really have any superpowers. And due to some unfortunate events that happened in her life, she was very motivated to become proficient in swordplay, archery, and martial arts, which we can see has already happened here as she looks like she's a pretty good shot so far. But of course she hasn't been trained by Hawkeye yet, so she's about to get a lot better. Now, once when Hawkeye realizes that it's Kate Bishop dressed up as his former self, Ronin, he decides that, well, she's just too young for him to just leave to deal with the Tracksuit Mafia. So now we have the dynamic duo in the Hawkeye series of Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. Now, it seems like she thinks her skills are pretty good, as she says, "Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer." Now, she definitely knows that this is Hawkeye, so this could be her attempt at getting Hawkeye to actually try and help her, which seems to work. The next scene we see is of Hawkeye and Kate, and Hawkeye asks Kate, "Are you one of those people?" in which she shakes her head yes. Now, I don't really think this is pertaining that much to the plot of the story. If you look at the background of the place that they're about to walk into, you can see a bunch of pizza boxes. They're most likely about to go get some pizza, which leads me to believe that Kate Bishop is probably one of those people who likes pineapple on pizza, and that is probably the joke here. Hawkeye is really asking, "Are you one of those people who likes pineapple on pizza?" in which Kate Bishop says yes. We then see the scene I talked about where Hawkeye picks up the phone and says, "Hey babe, I should be back in 1 or 2 days." Obviously, Hawkeye is not going to leave Kate Bishop just to die because, as it's very clear here, the Tracksuit Mafia is still after, now, both of them. Hawkeye's reflexes are still just as good as before as one of the members of the Tracksuit Mafia throws a Molotov cocktail at the window in which Hawkeye and Kate Bishop are in the building. He quickly breaks the window, catches the bottle, throws it back at him, and lights them on fire, their tracksuits and all. And from here we see that Hawkeye's not exactly having the best time trying to get rid of this mafia off his back. He's got several bruises on his body, so does Kate Bishop. He's ziplining and it breaks, but as you can see there's another zipline down below which he's probably going to catch. Hawkeye says things have gotten a little more complicated and we can see him put a lot of ice packs all over his body. Clearly taking care of Kate and dealing with the Tracksuit Mafia has proven a little bit harder than he thought it would be. He's getting beat up, he's getting shot at, and he's getting kidnapped. But don't worry, Kate Bishop is quickly coming to the rescue. Sort of. Now from here we see a lot of quick action sequences, but one thing that's very important to note here is we see Vera Farmiga's character, Eleanor Bishop, the mother of Kate Bishop. Now in the comics it was believed that Eleanor Bishop died when Kate was very, very young. However, later on it was actually revealed that she was alive and directing the activities of Kate's nemesis in the comics, Madame Mask. Madame Mask has caused lots of trouble for Tony Stark, S.H.I.E.L.D. and others over time, and she's also cloned herself several times as well. And it looks like Eleanor and Madame Mask could be the true villains behind everything that we're seeing in the Hawkeye series. Because the Tracksuit Mafia is cool, but there's gotta be a bigger villain than them. And since they showed Eleanor here, I'm going to assume that she's going to be the big villain and probably Madame Mask as well. As we go on, we get a shot of the Rogers Musical, and we can see that all of the original Avengers are there, some Chitauri, and then some more. So it looks like the musical is going to be covering events from Captain America's first journey all the way to the Avengers, all the way to Avengers Infinity War. We then get a shot of Lucky, the dog. In the comics, Arrow was the original name of the dog, and Arrow actually belonged to somebody of the Tracksuit Mafia. However, Clint showed him some kindness, and Arrow repaid the favor by attacking some of the men of the Tracksuit Mafia. However, he paid a price. The Tracksuit Mafia beat him up, threw him onto the street, but Hawkeye saved him, rushed him to the vet. Unfortunately, he lost an eye, but he did make a full recovery besides that, and he would go on to become Clint's dog, renaming him Lucky. Kate would eventually go away and take Lucky with her, but when she found out about the Tracksuit Mafia's plan to kill Clint, her and Lucky come back to try and save Hawkeye. I can't wait to see him, he better not die, and also, he loves pizza. We then get a scene of Hawkeye and Kate Bishop dressed up as Ronin in what appears to be some sort of medieval fair reenactment of a battle. It looks like Kate Bishop is celebrating, and we can obviously see Hawkeye kicking butt on the field. This will most likely be a pretty comedic scene, probably towards the latter half of the series, I'm assuming, because Hawkeye and Kate Bishop are together. From here we see a lot of scenes of the Tracksuit Mafia after Kate and Clint, and in a real quick moment we can see the new character Echo, aka Maya Lopez, who is going to be played by Alaqua Cox. Echo is going to be a deaf superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the very first one, and Alaqua Cox is deaf herself. So this is a pretty cool historic moment right here. In the comics, she starts off as bad but then becomes good, and she also kind of has Taskmaster abilities. She has the abilities to mimic people, so she's definitely going to be a treat for the show. And as I mentioned, she's getting her own spin-off series, which is heavily rumored to feature Daredevil and Fisk. So she's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now we end with two pretty awesome scenes. Clint and Kate are in a car being chased and shot at by some members of the Tracksuit Mafia, but Hawkeye is still trying to do the best he can to be a mentor to Kate, so he's telling her that some arrows are off limits. Definitely not this one's too dangerous, until he eventually does give her an arrow, in which she looks a lot like Taskmaster shooting, and the arrow actually looks like one that Taskmaster used as well, because she shoots it and the car behind her immediately explodes. She asks Hawkeye, "There are arrows more dangerous than that one?" and he kind of just smirks it off. As we've seen throughout time in the MCU, Hawkeye has a lot of different arrows, and some of them actually are pretty cool and very dangerous. Unfortunately, Kate Bishop isn't going to be as cool as Hawkeye until she can shoot without even looking at what she's shooting at. But don't worry, because Hawkeye is going to be teaching her that. The very last scene that we get is of Kate and Clint jumping off of a bridge safely into water, and it looks like Hawkeye is trying to teach Kate his classic jump off of a building, turn around while grabbing an arrow, and shoot while falling move. Considering the fact that it doesn't look like they're being shot at, and there's water behind them, it looks like this most likely is Clint teaching Kate how to do that. She's probably studied him over time since she looks up to him, and she probably asked him how to do that because she wants to learn. And if you look closely, it doesn't look like she's actually getting the move down, but I'm sure by the end of the series she will. And that is the Hawkeye trailer. It's coming out on November 24th. We have a release date. Be sure to let me know what you thought about this trailer in the comments down below. Let me know how excited you are for it and what your favorite part was. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates, you can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.